The Quest 3 is out, but is it really worth it right now? Prior to the release, previous Meta CTO stated his opinion on the headset. He mentioned the hardware is a step further into the future, but the software on the headset is the limiting factor. And after trying the Quest 3 earlier this week, he might actually be right. For now at least. It does seem developers are now working hard to either update their games into mixed reality or even creating new experiences for the Quest 3. Right now, it's pretty much the same as the Quest 2, so unless this is your first VR headset, it doesn't feel like much of an improvement. Sure, when actual games come out, other than the first Encounters demo, it will make the headset worthwhile. Speaking of actual games, if this is your first headset, then there's plenty of old games to play. And if you're not looking to spend any more money, there's many good free games to play on the market. For example, Population 1, VR's most popular battle royale, Hyperdash, one of my favorite VR team shooters, Ultimex, a Rocket League inspired sports game using mechs instead of cars, and finally, Pavlov's Shack, essentially Counter-Strike VR and one of the best VR games to date. Also, a technically new VR game to the Quest is Roblox, now available on the MetaQuest store for free. Speaking of free games, Steam Next Fest is on again. If you don't know what Next Fest is, it's where developers showcase their upcoming games with free demos for the week. This means lots of upcoming VR games for you to try, and if you've just bought your first VR with the Quest 3, you can connect it to your PC with AirLink or Virtual Desktop, so you can play all the Steam PC VR games on your Quest. So of course, the Quest 3 released this week. However, Meta have already released an experimental API for the dynamic occlusion in mixed reality. This is probably the biggest problem for the Quest 3 right now. If you have a physical item or object behind a digital object, the digital object will look 2D, as if it's been placed on top of this item. This is best seen here. When I move my arm in front of the digital presence, it overlaps, whereas it should be seen in front of my arm. This API allows developers to use the depth map generated by the headset to prevent this issue. It seems that Meta is really reliant on developers to utilize this new technology with the Quest 3 to actually sell. The last thing I saw buried in all of this Meta Quest 3 news this week was Stride Fates. If you've played Stride before, you know it's quite a fun and intense parkour game in VR. It's personally one of my favorites. One small feature in Stride is shooting a few enemies with your pistol as you parkour. However, it focuses far more on the parkour than the combat. Stride Fates seems to level out that balance, weighing further on the combat side of the original game. Stride Fates even includes an entire story campaign. I can already tell you this is probably going to be a great game, and by the looks of it, Meta headsets will receive this next month in November. That's it for this week. A lot of Quest 3 news surprisingly, and I'll see you next week.